Good morning and welcome to the sensory garden at South Park in Darlington. My name's Laura, I work for Groundwork North Eastern Cumbria, and over the last month and a half we've been doing some work in the sensory garden, giving it a bit of a renovate. So far what we've done is we've put about 45 tonnes of compost and topsoil into the area, and then we've planted roughly 300 plant shrubs and trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick tour of the work that's been happening and what potential work is going to be happening later on. So this is the first bed that we have renovated. It used to have a strip of yellow plants through the centre of it and pretty much nothing else apart from weeds. It is now a full herb bed. We have everything in here from lavender, 3 different types of sage, numerous types of thyme. There are curry plants in the corner, which are those grey ones. Believe me, they smell of curry. And further over we have chives, which are the grass type plants. And we have 3 bay trees in the middle as well, which are going to grow up. In the background we've planted a couple of Japanese acers, which will grow up nicely, and an Indita plant as well. The far end of the bed we basically trimmed it up, topped it up with compost and made sure we weeded it. This bed we've actually done fairly little to. We've added some topsoil in the centre and we've planted 2 new golden bamboos in there. We'll be coming back in the autumn or winter to tidy up these bamboos after they were incorrectly pruned. So hopefully next year this bit that looks like shrubbery will look like those golden bamboos. This bed has become known as the crocodile bed because there's a big stone crocodile in the middle of it. Originally this was entirely overgrown. We've taken out all the weeds, we've topped it up with soil and some sand as well, and then we've planted a variety of different grasses in here and clumps of plants. So we've got some echinacea over in that corner, and we've got some rudbeckias over in that corner, and there are some verbena bonariensis in there and some crocosmia as well. This bed just had 3 extremely overgrown cotinus or smoke bushes in it, so we coppiced them down and we've given them a trim since then to make them bush out a bit. We've obviously topped it up with a bit of compost as well. While we were chopping it down, we've discovered that this end one's actually rooted into the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift the stuff that's been rooted and we're going to take that over to the Rockery Gardens once we start doing that later on in the autumn. This is the rose bed. Basically we've weeded it, we've taken out where the rootstocks have started regrowing, we've cut them off and we've topped it up with compost. We're going to be coming back in the autumn to plant muscari bulbs, so grape hyacinths underneath it. There'll be about 2,500 bulbs going underneath here, so it'll flower first, then it'll die back and then the roses will flower afterwards, so hopefully it'll spread out the period of interest for this particular bed. This bed used to have budleys in it. We've left 1 in at the back as a reminder. The rest of it has been stripped out and we've planted perennials in here. So these are plants that are going to come back year after year after year. In the centre there is a tree. The tree is a candy floss tree. So a candy floss tree, it'll go bright orange in autumn and then the leaves smell like burnt sugar when they fall off. A mixture of perennials in here. We've got bearded iris, we've got achillea, we've got delphiniums, we've got a couple of different types of salvias, persicarias, phlomis, that sort of thing. And they'll all come up and flower next year and start thickening out. So these ones we're calling our woodland beds because they're very much woodland planted. In here we've got a mixture of, well, there's Japanese maples in here. There are Japanese anemones as well. There are various different types of ferns, hostas, heucheras, Solomon seals. So these are all woodland specialities who should grow quite nicely under the shade of the big trees around them. So this bed's actually split in 2 parts. So you've got this part here and then we've got a big old box hedge. And down this end is basically a mirror of the far end. The only difference between them is this end there are 2 Japanese quints in here, which are the shrubs, and this end there are 3 pieris or burning bushes, variegated ones, which are being planted. So they're going to get much taller, probably kind of person size, 2 meters tall, that sort of thing, over the next 4 or 5 years. The rest of them are going to stay fairly short. and this is the final bed that we did some work on. To be honest, not a huge amount of work. The yellow leaved plants came out of the bed, which is now full of herbs, but apart from a bit of pruning, a bit of weeding and topping up with a bit of topsoil, we actually haven't done a huge amount on this one, mainly because it didn't need it. Still needs a bit of a weed. There are some brambles in there that need taking out, and some of the plants are going to need pruning again in the spring, but we'll get on with that in the spring. So now we've finished effectively the sensory garden, we can move on and start doing other projects in the park. So one of the projects we're hopefully going to start in the next month or so will be the Rockery Gardens over the far side of the Skern. The first thing we'll be doing is we will be fixing the concrete base, which we need to do before it starts getting cold, because concrete doesn't like it when it's frosty. After that point, I've got about £1,500 to spend on plants. So there'll be some large trees going in, there'll be some shrubs going in, some small plants as well. We'll keep you updated with the works as they are ongoing. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching.